Hello, hello. We're going to be playing some more modded Stardew today. First, I need to do something before I play Stardew, so we're gonna watch a little movie. And we don't have to worry about copyright or anything. So don't worry. I'll be able to show it on screen. It's just a nice, friendly movie. Well then. Let's watch it, shall we? Welcome, welcome. Yes. Why? What am I doing wrong? You can't report it for copyright because the copyright owners of this are long defunct. So what grounds do you have? Oh God. I assure you this was not racially motivated. But yeah, obviously. I know. Also, like, I noticed that there's like a thing on the top over here. Is that like a film reel or something that they accidentally left? Would you believe me if I told you that Dingo reuses these models for all of their other movies? Well, most of their other movies. The dinosaur one was a bit unique because they had to make all that shit on their own and couldn't reuse that many things. But they've made it is literally a trace Simba, you were right. I'm pretty sure the panther and the baby panther are also like traced versions of Nala and Simba's mom too. And the lion baby's dad is a traced Mufasa. What? Me? Me? Why me? The girls are fighting. Wait, let me check something. Okay. Okay, so this movie predated Lion King too. So, I mean the sequel, not the original Lion King. It literally did not predate the original Lion King. I have to clarify. So it did have like the forbidden friendship thing before the second movie did. But like, I'm pretty sure forbidden friendships and forbidden romances are like super common tropes anyways. They're fighting again. I mean, a soy jack is a variant of a wojak, you know. Oh, so yeah, that's like a traced Mufasa or adult Simba, right? Okay, I need to throw something away, but yeah. I'm not sure the exact budgets the Dingo Pictures had for their movies, but it was very low. In the dubbing cast, even though they had like 10 billion European language dubs, their dubs were also like made super fucking cheap. Most of these films, at least in English speaking areas, were released as PS2 games or PS1 games, I think. But I think in Europe it was mostly VHS and some DVD releases. Okay, I have to throw something away. I'll be right back. Oh, I saw that! I saw that! I saw that! I saw that! Wow! My own mods revolting against me. I don't know, actually. Maybe I misread something. Okay, so most sources I see say that this movie was released in 1999. So this was after, I think Lion King 2. I was wrong. I was confusing this with the first movie. And the reason why we're not watching the first movie is because it doesn't have an English dub. They use this like in most of their movies too. It's either that or that like repetitive drum beat. Yes. It's reusing the fucking dribbling animation for running. They sure do. Oh god, this fucking no, like let him off that they use all the time. All right, some other movies that I know that they reuse these assets in. Animal Soccer World is very notable because it uses the pen for the uh, Mufasa copy and also Simba copy. And the vultures. They do also have a Tarzan ripoff movie, which I think like the either the gorillas came from that or they used the gorillas for these. And True! True! But which gorilla? The evil male gorilla or the one that pampers the baby panther? True. See, we got through that pretty well. It wasn't that bad.
Hello, guys and gals. The
Well, what? Ignore that, ignore that, ignore that, ignore that, ignore that. Oi! That's not very nice of you. Oi! Oi! Why? Okay, I still need to do this document, I fear, but also I ship. Yes, I know the screen is blank. I haven't put something on the on YouTube. I'm trying to think. I I can't. I'll be banned.
A game that holds a special
Okay, hope you're
a game that holds
placated by this Izzy's video.
memory is Feral Heart.
True!
Americans who like wolves and or free MMOs like me, you probably know this game all too well. It's one of those cheap Unity games, the textures aren't particularly nice, the map is kind of a mess and the character models are very 2011, but it remains extremely charming in its own way and incredibly nostalgic. Like, I think that opening title music is seared into my brain at this point. But it turns out that Feral Heart is just one of many in the 2000s neon emo deviant furry role-playing game genre. We'll be covering these games today, from Feral Heart to Impressive Title and all the knockoffs in between. One thing they all have in common: fraught, drama-filled histories and spectacular downfalls. What are these games and why did they all die? Let's find out. Let's start with the game that spawned 1,000 games. Impressive Title came out in 2008 and was honestly a pretty big achievement in terms of game creation. I guess you could say it was impressive. Title. The game is an expansive open world in which you play as a lion. You can customize your character and find accessories to dress up with, as well as being able to explore, hunt and join prides. If you played Impressive Title or Feral Heart, it really wasn't about the gameplay or the mechanics or the graphics. I mean, it was all fine, it was pretty bare bones and very 2008, but the main draw of the game was the role playing, and many a scene kid spent their evenings on the family PC trying not to let their mum see the epic wolf romance which was unfolding in their roleplay. The game was made by one developer, Kovu Lkd, who originally created it for him and his friends before opening it to the public. The art style was heavily inspired by The Lion King, if you couldn't tell, and while it gained controversy due to alleged breach of copyright or art style theft, it gained a huge surge in popularity when it was announced on the Lion King fan art archive for the first time in 2008. Man, the 2000s internet was a weird place. Impressive Title got very popular. It's unknown exactly how many people had downloaded or played the game, but at one point the forum reached a peak number of 11,755. This is very impressive for a game with just a single developer, and the game was slowly becoming part of the DeviantArt furry culture. But you know what they say, security breach is always around the corner. Yep, that's what they always say. Impressive Title had been made with a small friend group in mind, and Kovu Lkd did not expect the sudden surge of users. Because of this, anyone could access the game's coding, which was not great. This led to account hacking, server attacks, item stealing, and general goofballery. I mean, if you can hack the game and totally punk your friends by filling the game with flying bird crystals, why the hell wouldn't you? Even after the code was made more secure, optimization issues, scams, moderation problems, and more ran rampant, and in 2010, Impressive Title shut down. Enter Feral Heart in 2011. Kovu Lkd had made a comeback in a big way. The fans had been left in limbo for nearly 2 years, but the appearance of
So, what's with Lion King stuff being prevalent within early furry fandom?
To Impressive Title and had improved on the previous formula while keeping all the aspects that players love. Extensive customization, a vast explorable world, and in-depth chat and roleplay systems. The art style was more realistic and catered to a much wider audience with its inclusion of wolves as playable species. The game had removed some of the hunting and item collection mechanics, but as I said, gameplay really took a backseat to customization and roleplay. One cool aspect of Feral Heart was its appeal to creatives. The game had a map maker, a sky maker, and even an item maker, with users able to import their own custom drawn sky or topographical map into the game. This allowed players to create highly customized private maps for their friends or roleplay groups. This is still a really neat feature to me, and still very technically impressive. Feral Heart was very popular. In the early days, servers would regularly push 2,000 players, which doesn't seem like a lot, but keep in mind this was a completely free game for an, at the time, very niche user base made by a single developer. The community was pretty large, with a bustling forum whose users would regularly create in-jokes, artwork, and Feral Heart roleplay groups on DeviantArt. The game was flourishing, being updated frequently with new content, and it seemed like things could really only go up for the game. However, in early 2012, Kovu Lkd disappeared. Without a trace, the developer of Feral Heart left. No goodbye, no update, nothing. And he took the game's source code with him. The community, both players and staff, was shocked and left in limbo. With no source code, the staff couldn't update the game, and with the developer missing, players were uncertain of the game's future. This would continue for the next 2 years with no word at all from Kovu. Players made threads asking where he was, and the admins had no answer. Some even thought that he had died. So where on earth had the developer gone? Well, it turns out that Kovu wasn't dead. The first clue came when users found that he had last logged into his forum profile in 2013, a year after his disappearance. Kovu would remain silent until 2014 with a Facebook post. In the post, Kovu apologized for his disappearance. In quotation marks for some reason. I mean, you were gone 2 years, just kind of skimmed over that. He explained that he had started an office job and was extremely busy with work and life. It's so busy that he couldn't update his unpaid volunteer staff that he was leaving, I guess. You know, those office jobs, they never let you leave the office, ever. He also dropped the bombshell that he had instead directed his attention onto making a Facebook game called Feral Tales, essentially a 2D Facebook browser adaptation of Feral Heart. Also, I'm sorry my accent is making it sound like I'm saying Pharaoh Heart or like Feral Heart. I can't say that full word. As a final punch in the gut, he said he wanted to distance himself from the moderator drama that had been happening and wouldn't be working on Feral Heart anymore, nor would he be sharing the code with anyone. The reception was bad. people were understandably angry that he'd been missing for 2 years, only to reveal he'd essentially abandoned the game to work on a shitty Facebook game. I mean, to be fair, it was 2014 and grandma was poking you because it was your turn in Zynga Poker and you were shoving dad off the family PC to check on your Farmville crops, but in hindsight the decision to move the franchise onto Facebook was an ill-fated one. The game did come out on Facebook but was buggy and broken to the point where it was unplayable for most and was never fixed. He updated his Facebook a few days later after the original post, and after that, nothing. He deleted his DeviantArt, he deleted his forum account, and he has never been seen again. Feral Tales remained an unplayable mess and was scrapped, and the source code was never handed over or made public in any way. So why did Kovu leave? It's one thing to want to move on from your old projects to greener pastures, but to leave a whole community and go MIA for 2 years is in a whole other league. There are some theories. On Kovu's Facebook page, he frequently made passive-aggressive posts towards the server host Rasmers. It was believed by some that an argument or growing tension had caused Kovu to spitefully leave the game in the hands of Rasmers.
Wait, isn't Kovu the name of the, like, edgy,
Kovu was to adding a large
dude from Lion King 2?
Include wings, which he was supposedly against and wanted to keep the game realistic. Yeah, sure. According to this theory, the demand from the community was so much that he felt forced to make the update, losing all creative control that he had. However, my theory is a much simpler one. I think that Kovu simply stopped caring about the game. He was young when he created it, and it was very much a product of its time. It's like when someone texts you and you can't be bothered replying and put it off so long that when you go to reply, you'll have to kind of awkwardly explain why it took you weeks to reply, and so to avoid the awkwardness, you just keep putting it off forever. I'm pretty sure that's exactly what happened, but like with a furry wolf MMO. With no developer and no source code, Feral Heart exists in a state of limbo. While the game has been active for nearly 10 years at this point, it's a shell of what it once was, with the player count regularly dropping below 10. While some believe that Kovu will one day return, it's doubtful, and even if he did, there would no longer be a community of thousands to welcome him back. It's likely that the game will continue to decline and fall into a state of disrepair until the server costs are no longer sustainable. However, it remains as both a nostalgic relic to those who spent their youth in the game and a window into the internet subculture at the time. While Kovu Lkd's development career would stop there, this would not be the last game in the genre, and other developers would take up the mantle with similarly fraught results. Aerokai is a
that was loud.
bizarre and
Ouch.
genre. One of the first impressive title clones to come out by a new developer who was not Kovu Lkd. The game was
It's still
developed by
like using the lion
Aerokai
stuff.
started development
I mean, that's not a lion, but you know what I mean.
RPG with extensive customization, a large map, and in-depth roleplay elements. Sound familiar? Well, it's because all these games are the exact same, but Aerokai set itself apart with a multitude of new species. The game would include the classic lion and wolf species, but would also have owls, bears, deer, griffins, and dragons. The animations and character models in Aerokai are great. They're a little dated at this point, but honestly I think they hold up pretty well. The game was going to have more of a storyline with lore, NPCs, quests, and an alignment system separating it from the competition. Aerokai had its own forum, and users were being updated via Superfish's DeviantArt and Aerokai streams, where she would work on 3D models and development. It had been a few years since the project had started, but progress seemed steady.
Who wants to hop on furry MMOs?
Until 2011, when Superfish did a Kovu and completely disappeared. However, surprisingly, Superfish reappeared a few months later in early 2013, reassuring the community that she was still working on the game and development continued. And you are not ready for the Fight Club shit that happened next. Sorry if this next part is now gonna spoil Fight Club for you, but it's been 10 years, that's really on you. Basically what I'm saying is everything about Aerokai was a complete lie. It turns out that when Superfish disappeared in 2011, she never came back. The Superfish that re-emerged in
I don't know why my
2013
VTuber
was an
sleeping.
impersonator. And I don't mean impersonator as in some goofball little troll pretending to be Superfish. I mean impersonator as in they fooled all of the community and all of the staff for years and scammed players out of money. For
Bro!
the Superfish account was run by a user called Kahara, who got access to the admin password and hacked hacked into her accounts in 2011. Recounts by admins, moderators, and artists at the time all share a common theme. The forums were bustling and updates were being made to string players along, but behind the scenes, communication was non-existent. And when asked to help with modeling or asked how she modeled something, Kahara suddenly couldn't get Blender to work or couldn't explain how she had done certain things. In 2011, right after taking over Super...
Wait, let me read, Okay, I want to see it live. Wait, this is the same server provider as, Feral Heart. Oh my god! Okay, I want to see it live. Full desktop with this chat in it, so I can see it's legit. I don't do live streams anymore, Raz. It slows down my computer. Why is a screenshot of every source not good enough? I can put the chat up of the source if you like. And I want to see you write some working code. Skype is fine. Call and screen share. As I said, I'm not gonna do that. I don't do that with my own staff. I am willing to provide full screenshots of what I'm doing. That is the best you get. I apologize if that isn't enough, but that's all you're getting from me. I have work to do on this program. None of this provides your super... God.
Had done so. In
Bruh.
2011, right after taking over Superfish's account, Kahara supposedly lost all the files for Erokai in a hard drive crash, giving her an excuse for why she couldn't provide game files when asked. The worst part is that staff had been communicating with Superfish on Skype for over 5 years, completely unknowing that they were talking to a stranger. Oh wait, no, the worst part is that all the money and donations for the project went completely missing. And by missing, I mean Kahara stole it. Now, the story is so bizarre.
Okay, I don't want to blame the staff who didn't know, but also like, if your project disappears for a bit and then comes back and refuses to share anything and not even let you work on the game and stuff, that is a huge red flag. And how did that continue to happen for multiple years?
Very little knowledge on the topic. Another theory was proposed that Superfish, wanting to leave the project due to stress and pressure, handed the project over to Kahara. But why hand ownership to Kahara, a random with no game development experience, rather than one of the more experienced staff? Also, if ownership was being transferred, Superfish would have sent the game code to the team, which she never did. That leaves the theory that Kahara really did hack into the game and take over Superfish's account, which I'm most inclined to believe, but if so, why didn't Superfish say anything after the hack? The real Superfish had to have known Kahara had taken over the account.
I mean, it's not like this was a fan project or anything, so it's not like there's any copyright shit to get a hold of, but like, yeah, I don't know why people were sending this money.
Erokai had one of the strangest and most treacherous downfalls of any online game in recent memory. Now, Serial Soup is interesting because it's probably one of the most successful out of these games. Okay, that's kind of a lie. Serial Soup is the last of our open world animal MMOs, and it took huge inspiration from Erokai, essentially picking up where it left off. It's run by a small team of developers and has been chugging along since 2015.
Who up here serialing their soup?
Meerkats, which I appreciate for the sheer cuteness factor. It has a lot more actual gameplay than any of the other games mentioned, including an aging system, combat mechanics, and even a bounty system, but it absolutely has its flaws. The game is notoriously hard to run, with a huge number of Steam reviews simply complaining about how they can't even get the game to boot up. There are also very weird quirks in the system, like this warning to not use numbers in your email, username, or password, which is concerning. There were also memory leaks, crashes, and even rumors of the game stealing user data. Serial Soup has also had a pretty fraught development. The game has been involved in multiple dramas, including a supposedly pretty nasty ongoing spat with Feral Heart. Feral Heart was accused of banning people for even mentioning Serial Soup, while Serial Soup has been accused of directly ripping off 3D models and textures from Erokai and Feral Heart, which, like, big if true, but this information came from a call-out blog on Tumblr called Serial Poop, so you know. The game was also accused of hacking Feral Heart, which caused a very public argument between the two sites. You could say things really went to the wolves. With the last post on their Tumblr blog being nearly a year ago, the forum's essentially defunct and the Steam download broken, things aren't looking great for the game. This story is not a spectacular downfall, but a slow decline, and one that symbolizes the death of a genre. Cereal soup never really got big, and that's because the genre simply went out of fashion around 2015. The last hope of a genre revival died with Erokai, and cereal soup is one of the few remnants of this hope, but it paints an almost sad picture of the state of this once bustling community and the games that they loved.
And now, furries usually just go on VR chat and shit instead.
Everyone had seen him, MySpace was filled with so many deep quotes that it looked like an Olympic dive pool, and everyone who was anyone who had a DeviantArt had a neon sparkle wolf character. Impressive Title, Feral Heart, Erokai, and Cereal Soup are all products of their time, and while their memories have faded into obscurity as their players have grown up, I'm glad for the memories. This video is not meant to bash these games or the developers at all. I loved these games with a passion, and I still love them for all their 2000s DeviantArt charm. Anyway, they're an extremely niche but incredibly unforgettable bit of nostalgia and early internet history that I thought you guys would enjoy. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I really hope to see you in the next one. Bye!
Okay.
It's a hard fact of life that furry art is one of the biggest
Another
industries
Izzy's video.
online. For some reason, a lot of furries seem to be extremely wealthy and willing to drop hundreds and even thousands on artwork of their custom characters. Basically, if you want to make some money, start selling furry art.
I think it's less that furries are generally wealthy and more just that there's a few wealthy furries that are very willing to spend a fuck ton of money on art of their persona.
$1,000. Needless to say, chaos and controversy ensued, and the legendary sale is still talked about today. Here's the story of the 20k furry. To explain the story of the fated artwork, we first have to delve into the world of adoptables. For the uninitiated, adoptables are basically unique character designs which are sold.
Oh,
adoptables!
adoptables!
We usually make multiple adoptables called a batch and sell them to people who will then draw and roleplay with them. They can range in price from mere dollars to, well, thousands. And while most adoptables are brought simply for their cool designs, there's a large market of expensive premium adoptables. These adoptables are highly sought after.
Oh my fucking god!
Made by a popular artist or because they're a closed species. Once again, I gotta explain for the uninitiated. Species are a subgenre of adoptables, but instead of just making a random character design, the artist creates a whole species with its own set of defining traits and characteristics. There are open species where anyone can make their own character, and there are closed species where you have to buy one. While the ethics of closed species have been a hot topic in the art community for a long time, there's no denying the ridiculous popularity that some closed species have reached. Some species are so sought after that people will spend hours in bidding wars and will
Yeah, I have experience with a closed species, and I tried to send in the design, and then they say that, these features are not, properly, detailed enough for us to accept, and I lost all interest.
Complex trading politics and high price tags.
And so I asked, okay, can I just give you back this slot then, since I'm not going to use it? And they're like, no, you cannot. However, if you send another design and we approve it, you can trade it. And like, I don't want to make a design. I just don't want to use the slot. Just let me give it back to you guys.
Bipedal animal companion thing is a little weird to me. I can understand why people wanted to invest in these things. Not only are the designs and artwork nice, but you kind of get to feel like the part of the rich people club. It's basically the same as wearing designer clothes. You're in it for the aesthetic, but the status of owning something expensive plays a big part too. And oh boy, were Grims expensive. These things regularly sold for over $300, with many buyers becoming well known in the community for their large number of Grims and the sheer amount that they've invested into the closed species. So now that we know a bit about adoptables and Grim Corps themselves, we can dive into the story of the infamous 20k furry with a little more context. Let me lay it down for you. It was the summer of 2019, and a DeviantArt user called Caravan Outpost, Caravan for short, discovered the Grim Corpse page and the adoptables that they were selling. Having fallen in love with the Grims and all their muscular charm, they decided that they needed to have one. Now, information from this time period is a little lackluster due to many older posts on the Grim Corpse page being deleted because of harassment. But what we do know is that on July 12th of 2019, one of the co-founders of Grim Corpse, Toothless Ego, started an auction to get a custom Grim. It was going to be a Cypherus Grim 2, the most rare and heavily sought after type, and the bidding started at a hefty $800. The original creator of the species, known as Mr. Grim, was going to help out with the auction to make it go smoothly, and even volunteered to throw in some free art to the winner. The auction started and was going well, with bids going into the thousands as expected. But it kept going. Things began to spin out of control as the bids increased, with no sign of stopping. Here are a few quotes from the bidding war, which were salvaged from the now deleted post. Note that the user Kintsugi Kitsune is Caravan. 9,500. Good luck, comrade. 9,600. Same to you, dude. I'm flabbergasted in the best possible way. What an amazing community that brings us together like this. 18k. We're flying through space now. Ah, okay. 20k and I tap. Well fought, brethren. I fucking salute you, because holy damn. If you win, your Grim is gonna knock it out of the friggin' park. I can feel it. 20,500. Tap while you still can. I desire epicness above all things. Edit. All life
also just doing it in fucking DeviantArt comments is insane.
Caravan won the custom Grim at a whopping $20,500.
Also, like, do what you want with your own money, blah 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 blah. But also, like,
some were congratulatory to Caravan and the Grim Corp team for their big sale. While
I'm not going to talk about the person that won the auction. I'm going to talk about the people who were also betting on this. Like,
well, the auction was won.
You were going to spend almost 19,000 bucks on an adoptable,
anticipation for the big reveal of what it would look
and
like.
not anything else.
Shambles from the shocking event. You'd think that Caravan would lay low for a little bit, right? Nope. Only 9 days after the $20,000 adoptable purchase, Caravan brought another Grim adoptable for $3,000. Yes, this is on top of the $20,000. People could only watch on in shock, bewilderment, and horror as Caravan placed a bid on another adoptable, this time of another closed species called browbirds. They placed a $6,000 bid, but the owner of browbirds banned them halfway through the auction. Caravan speculated that Mr. Grimble told the owner of browbirds not to sell to them due to their recent purchase history. Understandably, they were a little wary about a buyer who was 25k on adoptables in just over a week, and their bids were removed from the auction. The adoptable community was still reeling from the drama even months later. Any mention of the 20k adoptable would
let's watch and see.
Woodworks, and it was still a pretty hot button topic. Meanwhile, the community was still waiting with bated breath to see the custom Grim. They wanted to see what a $20,000 commission looked like. Would it have the painstaking detail of a Michelangelo? The sorrowful realism of a Rembrandt? The dedication to perfection of a Da Vinci? Well, all was revealed on February 9th of 2020 when the $20,000 Grim was unveiled.
I'm fine with the idea of buying pre-made OC designs or whatever. Sometimes I just don't want to bother designing an OC.
Honestly, you can tell,
and so I see pre-made and I was like, oh, this is pretty close to what I was thinking anyways. Oh, and I can buy it. Oh shit, that's cool. And also, like, there was an adopt that I have redesigned quite a bit because the owner let me.
It was carnage. The community was outraged.
And also, that was so I was supporting her monetarily by getting that adopt.
Arguments and hate filling the Grim Corp.
So I'm not opposed to the ideas of adopts, but also I think
why were they spending such insane amounts?
Making them over $100, unless the design is extremely detailed, and let's say if it was a Transformers adopt or something, and you also designed the fucking alt mode and everything. Yeah, I understand that shit being expensive.
toothless ego. Why did
But
I
if it's
feel
like
I'm on meds for my severe
a
anxiety?
cartoon, is like a small cartoony sparkle dog.
My SSRI. To be manic.
I don't know,
When
man.
mania is going
I don't know,
through
man.
series. Caravan explained that they had told Mr. Grimble about their manic state while bidding and asked for at least
And I do have like some adopts on sale, but like I realize that those are like way too plain
Mr. Grimble, which was already tenuous.
for the amount of money I was charging for them. So like,
demanded that the custom adoptable be finished immediately or they would take
yeah, I should probably just like delist them or reduce their price or something.
It seemed like they just wanted the adoptable to be over and done with, and 24 hours after the illegal threats they received.
And also it's like very, at least for me, it's very hard to make a design that you think looks good without wanting to use that design anyways, you know?
Ultimately, Caravan's post received both backlash and support, with some claiming that Mr. Grimble was purposely taking advantage of their mental illness, and others claiming that Caravan was lying about their mania. And while it is true that Caravan's post lacked many screenshots to back up their claims, I personally believe that they were telling the truth. Even looking back at their original bids, they were talking in a kind of manic way, and their compulsion to spend thousands and thousands over the span of a few weeks also fits the bill. While the deed is done, and
yeah, that too.
I personally think that Mr. Grimble should have issued a refund. $20,000 was already a ludicrous amount of money, and after the refund, Mr. Grimble would still walk away with around $10,000. I think issuing a partial refund would have been the empathetic and kind thing to do just on a base moral level. On the other hand, at the end of the day, Caravan was still responsible for their purchases despite the unfortunate circumstances. I can understand Mr. Grimble being frustrated at someone flaking out on such a big purchase. It's a tough situation either way, but in the end it was resolved, and Caravan got their rushed 20k Grim. After this, Caravan was subsequently banned from the Grim Corps page and deactivated their account. It's unknown whether they still have a presence online, but it's likely that they're simply going under a new name these days. The story of the $20,000 furry commission is a strange one. One of the biggest purchases in furry history may have only been made because of the buyer's drug-induced mania and nearly tore an entire community apart. The fact that the design was rushed was the cherry on top and cemented the story in the Internet Hall of Fame for its controversy. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys have had a great start to your 2021. Yeah, I really hope that you enjoyed the video, and yeah, I really hope to see you in the next one. Bye!
Okay, let me find another video because I'm still not done with this. Ah! You know, furry stuff is so... That is not the right video I wanted to watch.
Petty callouts to serious and sometimes illegal scandals. It's a big fandom, and while a lot of furries are just regular people who like writing about or dressing up as animals, there's no denying that the fandom contains some truly wretched individuals. And these individuals came out in full force in September of 2015 at a long-running furry convention called Rainforest. Rainforest is known as one of the most disastrous and dangerous events in convention history, with multiple drug overdoses, assaults, thefts, alcohol-induced medical emergencies, and property destruction so severe that staff would be left to pay up to $100,000 in damages. But how on earth did a simple furry convention spiral so far out of control? Who was responsible, and how did it get so bad? Well, today let's dive into the destruction and downfall of Rainforest 2015. I think at this point it's safe to say that furries are one of the largest subcultures on the internet. Depictions of anthropomorphized animals have existed since basically art has, and through artwork, cartoons, and animation, these human-like animals have grown to become well loved by many people. The movement officially formed in the 1970s in sci-fi and comic convention circles, where it was very hush-hush and mostly relegated to private room parties or small meetups among friends. These anthropomorphic animal fans came to be known as furries, and as their numbers grew, it got to the point where
what do you guys
parties
think of
just wouldn't do it
fursuits?
anymore, and thus the furry convention was
Let's say if
born.
you were a
Nowadays,
furry,
there
would you
are
ever get a
conventions all across
fursuit?
the globe, from Denver to Midwest Fur Fest to, oh my god, we have one in New Zealand. Of course it's a furry camping trip. What even is this country? Anyway, due to
Or
the
do you
sheer
think those
size
are
of
like
the
too
fandom, furry
expensive to
conventions are
justify?
usually pretty popular, and this is where the disaster of Rainforest 2015 comes in. Unlike other convention disasters like Las Vegas Unicon or
True.
Gamescom, Rainforest was not a first-time con and had actually been running for about 9 years. The convention
Yeah.
around 370 attendees, but by 2015 the attendance had skyrocketed to over 2,500 people, and it had made quite the name for itself within the community. And that name was not necessarily good. See, Rainforest had quite a reputation.
Yeah, I
in the
can't
fandom for
imagine
being
how
very
hot it is
on
inside
their
of one of
R-rated
these.
behavior. It's well known that some members of the furry fandom are very openly into some pretty weird stuff, but at most conventions there are very strict rules about what you can and can't wear and do on the convention floor. While Rainforest
I know there's
legally
like
asked
people who
attendees
just
to
get
keep
the
it
head and
PG,
also
as
paws
children
and
would be
wear
attending. They
them.
were super loose with these rules,
So it's
and
not
many
technically a
furries came to see
fursuit,
Rainforest
but
as
also it
usually
does kind of
outlet
look
for
weird
wild partying and
sometimes
bad
when it's
behavior.
just a head.
Rainforest 2015, the 9th Rainforest convention ever held, is set to go ahead over the weekend of September 24th to 27th, and the theme is swords and sorcery. The convention is held in the Seattle Airport Hilton Hotel in Washington, also known as SeaTac, a super prime location due to its proximity to both the airport and the light rail. Also, from my limited understanding of America, Washington is a pretty big state, and conventions in densely populated areas tend to do well. With nearly 3,000 attendees scheduled to show up, Rainforest 2015 was going to be bigger, better, and wilder than ever. Little did anyone know that this single event would mark the downfall, disgrace, and ultimate cancellation of an event that had run for 9
Like-
years. It was a weekend to remember, but not in the way
I like
it
a specified dog costume.
Now, usually
Like,
give
if it
play
was
by-play of how the
a
weekend
wolf,
escalated
no,
and
if it
all
was
the
a
things
cat
that happened on
costume,
each
would you
individual day,
also
but there was so many
would
scandals
you also
and
refuse
dramas
to
and
sweat in
straight-up
it?
crimes that occurred that it's probably just easier if I give you a bullet point list. Vandalism was a huge issue at Rainforest, likely fueled by the huge amount of drugs and alcohol being passed around, and the fact that staff had a tendency to let really bad behavior slide. The hotel elevators became broken when furries repeatedly used their feet to kick the buttons, breaking them. Similarly, an elevator in a door cable was broken by someone trying to force the doors open. Someone loosened the screws on one of the hotel toilets, meaning that the next person who used it caused an
Oh, yeah,
malfunction that
yeah.
flooded the room, damaging the adjacent rooms and leaking down into the room below, which happened to be the basement where all the servers were located. According to the person who fell victim to this prank, they were basically thrown from the toilet by the force of the water and had to sit for 5 hours soaked in toilet water before a room was ready for them. Someone took all of the guest towels and threw them into a hot tub before stuffing multiple rolled up towels into the hot tub's pump, destroying it. On the 26th of September at 10:30 a.m, the official Rainforest Twitter wrote, quote, "Due to vandalism, the hot tub is closed the rest of the con. Sorry for the inconvenience." A plumber was called to the hotel at least twice over the weekend. The fire department was called to the hotel at least once.
Like,
Stickers were put literally inside the urinals. Furries taped stickers and signs to their
oh
hotel
my
doors
fucking
often depicting
god,
R-rated
the
imagery
diaper
or
blood.
to
Oh!
rotten hallways and parking lots, with attendees simply tossing their scraps on the ground rather than using rubbish facilities. Staff wrote that multiple other petty thefts and vandalisms took place over the weekend. Another huge problem at the convention was the use of drugs. Drug use was absolutely rampant at Rainforest 2015, and this posed a huge problem for staff, other attendees, the hotel, and well, pretty much everyone involved. A smoke detector in one of the guest rooms was tampered with and discarded in a guest corridor, likely to allow the inhabitants to smoke. There are multiple photos of attendees using vapes, cigarettes, and even a whole ass hookah, so there's probably some merit to these claims. Some attendees hopped on Twitter to accuse others of tampering with the alarm in their room, causing them to, quote, almost get banned for 2 years. Despite state laws, drugs were still forbidden both at the con and hotel for obvious reasons, though this didn't stop attendees, and reportedly one security staff staff member from using. Over 2,000 spent nitrous oxide cartridges were found discarded in a guest corridor after a group checked out. It's estimated that at least 2 to 3 attendees caught selling drugs were arrested by police. Additionally, 2 attendees overdosed and had to be rushed to hospital for emergency treatment. Alcohol use was rampant at the convention too, with many attendees posting photos of and showing up to the convention.
Like, I shouldn't be surprised, but also I'm kind of surprised at the idea of like furries being like super hard party drinkers and shit.
And the thing that made Rainforest so infamous was the sheer amount of inappropriate behavior and debauchery. Both because I don't want to be demonetized and because I don't want to talk about this stuff in detail. I've seen way too many images from this convention and I'm scarred for life. I'm not really gonna get into it in too much detail, but regrettably it wouldn't be a Rainforest video if I didn't mention furries in diapers. It turns out Rainforest had become the hottest and trendiest convention for quote unquote baby furs who would, how do I put this politely? They would, excrete in diapers and just openly walk around like that. Many attendees complained of the putrid smell that plagued the convention hallways, and the diaper wearers took to Twitter to cry about Congo.
Wait, let me, oh my god.
Diaper wearers took
Dear, wait, sorry, I just read the chat. Okay, let me read these images. Dear hashtag RF2015 goers, remember that you're the black sheep to the rest of the world before you start making fun of a guy in a diaper. Not cool with all the baby fur hate on my timeline right now. What's happening to this fandom? It's not just for you, furry Twitter. Like I think like saying this within in the same in regards to the same event where like these people are walking around in public with these diapers like exposed and also like filled and also throwing out the diapers into the out in the open, like obviously some adults have to wear diapers and that's alright, but like if you're choosing to wear a diaper in public and you don't need to wear a diaper in public, and also you're filling it up and refusing to change it and shit, like people should make fun of you. I'm sorry. Or not should make fun of you. They're allowed to like think you're weird and they're allowed to like make fun of you for that. Like it's in like you're doing it at a hotel where you know for a fact that there's just gonna be regular ass people there that don't even know what a furry is, let her know what a baby fur is. Like I don't know, man.
To Twitter to cry about congoers shaming them. Not only were these furries subjecting innocent bystanders to leaving bags of soiled diapers in hotel rooms, hallways, parking lots, and even throwing them onto people's cars. There was also basically no enforcement of rules relating to appropriate attire, so people wandered around in all kinds of very not safe for work clothing, or lack of clothing, because there were also reports of public nudity. And these are only the instances we know about from tweets and photographs taken at the convention and the accounts of staff members. As the end of the convention approached, the Hilton began taping messages to the outside of hotel doors warning attendees that the hotel was going back to normal operating procedures. This was essentially the Hilton's way of saying, oh my god, Jesus Christ, please get the hell out of our hotel right now. It was safe to say that the convention was over, and as thousands of furries headed home leaving behind the tattered remains of the Hilton, the con staff were left in the wreckage to pick it all up. Now the actual number varies from source to source, but the bill for the damages caused over the weekend is estimated to be around $100,000 to $150,000. Yeah, pretty steep, but when you take into account a flooded bathroom and server room, broken hot tubs and elevators, trashed hotel rooms, multiple emergency service calls, and garbage strewn throughout the hotel, that figure starts to make a lot more sense. But now we have to ask, why? Thousands of conventions take place all across the globe every year, and surprisingly few devolve into drunken cesspools of chaos. So why on earth did this happen to Rainforest, and what, or who, caused it? I've heard a lot of people say that Rainforest was a convention ruined by its attendees rather than its management. Most of these disastrous conventions like Los Pegasus Unicon or DashCon were ruined by the sheer ineptitude and scamminess on the part of the organisers, but the blame lies solely on the attendees for Rainforest. And to be fair, I did just read you an enormous list of all the destruction and chaos that these furries caused at the convention. I don't blame you for blaming them. But I tend to disagree with this stance, and while the furries who trashed the Hilton obviously have a lot to answer for, the con staff had been enabling and encouraging bad behaviour at Rainforest for years. In a now deleted post-mortem on the convention, a staff and member of the Rainforest board committee wrote, quote, "It's my opinion that what really killed Rainforest 2016 was Rainforest 2011 to 2015. During those years we failed to deal with problem behaviour as it started happening. We failed at every level of our organisation. We didn't discourage bad behaviour, and we didn't create an environment where people who wanted to solve these problems were able to. As a result, damage to both the venue and to Rainforest's reputation escalated yearly, and by 2016,
oh no, the reputation!
Broken. In 2011, the Rainforest board began noting that their post-con damage reports were significantly higher than average, though they were never billed for these damages, so it was kind of just swept under the rug. This seemed to mark the beginning of the end, as from 2011 onwards, the severity of the damages would continue to escalate as attendees were allowed to get away with increasingly bad behaviour. As the years went on and the damage bills continued to pile up, the hotel quickly began losing patience with the oblivious organisers. This post-mortem also reveals the disturbing stance that many of the organisers took on harassment. In 2014, a group of staff pushed for review and overhaul of the convention's harassment policies to make them more clear, strict, and enforceable. Multiple board members pushed back, saying that stricter rules on harassment would, quote, "tie the hands of any future chair of Rainforest who wanted to work things out informally between people involved, and that they would be banning socially awkward individuals who didn't know better." Some blatantly said that stricter rules would drive away attendees and cost their members, so the rules were left vague and rarely enforced. Ironically and depressingly, multiple board members, both current and ex, were accused of harassment at Rainforest 2015. It wasn't just harassment policies.
Obviously I shouldn't blame the hotel, but why did they allow this?
Staff rarely, if ever, enforced.
Of course, if the con is paying them for all the damages, no matter how much is increasing, that okay, sure, free money, whatever, but at the same time,
made others uncomfortable, were sent to their rooms to, quote, sleep it off. There were also reports of security letting people in without badges, and even reports of security accepting bribes to let people in, with the going rate being around $5. I can't actually find any sources on these claims of bribery though, so definitely take that one with a grain of salt. Quote, "Other cons have almost identical language regarding expected public dress and behaviour in their codes of conduct, but they don't seem to have the problems we did with people using the Headless Lounge as a petting zoo or having to summon the ambulance multiple times per con for drug overdoses. We had become a safe space to violate the rules because we had a long history demonstrating that there would be no consequences." By Sunday of the convention, staff were well aware of how dire the situation was, so tensions were pretty high when they went to meet with the hotel management to arrange a contract for 2017 and 2018. Yeah, after all of the destruction and police involvement throughout the weekend, it was pretty bold of them to go back into that office and expect to sign another 2-year contract with the hotel. The general manager of the hotel wouldn't even talk to them, and the rest of the staff were, quote, barely civil. It was clear that the hotel had finally had enough of their shit and outright refused to sign another contract, though they didn't cancel the 2016 contract. There it was, that glimmer of hope that Rainforest 2016 could still go ahead. Now it was just a matter of getting everything organised, overhauling the rules, and the hotel cancelled. But both Rainforest and the hotel were bound by a legal contract.
Wow, I'm so surprised that the hotel didn't want to do this anymore.
So the Rainforest board was quiet because we got a letter from the hotel, and the hotel said, "You guys are going to send us a letter telling us you're canceling your event. And if you don't, we're going to pretend like you did and charge you the cancellation fee," which was like $100,000 or something like that. Don't remember the exact amount. $116,000. And then they said, "And then we're going to sue you for that amount of money." So they wanted us out.
Yeah, the hotel literally blackmailed them into cancelling because they were so desperate not to have to deal with furries anymore. This was a huge problem as the staff had issued a letter to attendees promising that they would clean up their act and be ready for a new and improved Rainforest.
A bit late to clean up the act, your act, you know.
They had to legally remove the hotel name from the Rainforest 2016 website, causing a firestorm on social media as attendees speculated the convention.
Wait, what? Wait, okay. Entire double bed at hashtag RF 2015 Hilton Wednesday to Tuesday, $71 per night or $35.69 per person per night. Mail only. YIF friendly. DM is open to require. Imani, you don't know what YIF means? YIF is, it's essentially like, sex. Yeah. Wait, is it this leak? Oh my god, bruh! And you're doing it, and you're posting it with the hashtag too?
On social media as attendees speculated the convention was cancelled. The organisers only made this worse by going completely silent, and while some thought that they were trying to pull some sort of scam, in reality they were dealing with a crisis. A mysterious furry had emailed every convention centre, hotel and venue in the area warning them not to partner with Rainforest, and rumour has it that the word furry was literally blacklisted at most venues after the disastrous weekend. The staff were frantically contacting venues, and after being rejected from pretty much every single venue in Seattle, Tacoma and Bellevue, arguments broke out about what to do next. Staff finally broke their nearly 3-month silence when they announced to the public that they would be taking a vote to either move Rainforest to Spokane or cancel the convention altogether. Furries cried out in opposition, claiming that Spokane was too remote and also, quote, a bit redneck and homophobic. Non-American, so can't really comment on that, but either way, people were really not happy. With thousands
Imagine if it did actually happen at Spokane.
By disagreements and a statewide blacklist, Rainforest 2016 was green-lighted. Yeah, believe it or not, they actually managed to secure a contract in Spokane, and while it was less than ideal and actually caused multiple con staff to leave, it was something. On January 30th, the date and location of Rainforest 2016 was made public alongside photos of the venue which were posted to Twitter. Against all odds, they persevered. Rainforest 2 Electric Boogaloo was going ahead. And then, less than a day before, somebody sent an email to the hotel with enough Rainforest past history, laid out in excruciating detail that the general manager himself killed the contract and demanded we remove the name of his venue from our site, which is why I haven't named it here. I don't know who sent the letter. I don't know precisely what was in it. I only know that the letter came from a sufficiently credible source that the general manager of the hotel took it seriously, and I know its contents were specific and damning enough to flip the general manager from being willing to work with us despite an awareness of our issues to not wanting any association with us whatsoever. It's been speculated that the person who was hell-bent on sabotaging the convention at every turn was actually a bitter ex-staff member, and while the staff seemed to kind of imply that they knew who it was, there's never been enough evidence to definitively prove that it was anyone specific. Many people have blamed this mysterious saboteur for single-handedly ruining Rainforest with a few well-worded emails, but I think that the staff put it best. The real truth, though, is that one individual only had that kind of power because Rainforest had such an unstable history in the first place. Yes, a lone gunman pulled the trigger, but the board and the executive staff sold them 5 years worth of bullets. While years of poor management can be blamed for the implosion of Rainforest, it's important to note that none of this would have happened if guests had just acted appropriately. Ultimately, it was a toxic combination of disorganized and ignorant management, a rambunctious party and drug culture, and irresponsible, inappropriate, and downright freaking awful guests that spelled the end of Rainforest. While I do kind of feel bad for how hard some board members fought to make Rainforest a better convention for future years, it's probably for the best that it was put down for good. If you have any personal experience with Rainforest or any similar con experiences, definitely let me know. I always love seeing like the crazy stories that you guys have with these kind of events, so So yeah, definitely let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope that you enjoyed that topic. If you ever have any suggestions for things you want me to cover, definitely let me know down in the comments. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye! Thank you so much to my Garfield Overlords on Patreon. Sheriff Whiskey, Lady Cerebellum, Xavier Rauho, Grip Gunderson, Sophie Skidder, X17chan, Simon,
I don't know, man.
Red Myth, the Furby Librarian.
I don't want to like curb people's freedoms or whatever, but also like
Vortex, Joe Bradshaw, Jordan Nielsen.
This shit should not have been happening
Davey,
in the first
Dingo
place, you
Gang,
know?
Tyson, Gyro Bradito, Vampiric Misfit, Palm, Dana Homegardner, Arcantilus, Jesse Chisholm, Curbicon, Charlie B, Brianna Robinson, Boysenberry Switchblade, Finley, and Agarafin. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you want to join these guys over on Patreon, the link will be in the description. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!
I know! And also, wait, before we get on to this next video, so a few months ago, I saw a recommended video on my YouTube page, and it was like debunking the lies of Rainforest 2016, and it's basically two furries and also YMS basically going, oh, Rainforest was fine. Izzzyzzz and Internet Historian, BTW, fuck Internet Historian, were wrong. All this shit you've heard about, like, the harassment and the rule breaking was just an exaggeration. Like, okay, sure, the con is fine with, not having regulations or whatever, but it's okay, guys. And it's like, what the fuck, man? Like, there's images and shit. And the video is like, oh, all of this info was like a targeted smear campaign by one specific furry. And it's like, why would that be? Why would we believe you? Like, or it's like, oh, sure, they may have broken the rules, but it's okay. That's just how the con scene was. I don't see what the problem was. And if you don't understand the problem, that's a problem. Yeah. And also that was how I found that the YMS was a weirdo. I really should watch that, I think Lagovert video on him, but like, oh god, I know that it's not gonna be a fun watch, man.
Neopets, one of the web's earliest pet sites in the virtual world that launched 1,000 virtual worlds. There's a good chance
I'm running out of water. No!
Fond memories of Neopets, and we'll be able to talk for hours on end about their beloved Jub Jub, or the time they accrued millions of Neopoints through illicit trading and became a tycoon. You know, typical kid stuff. But it wasn't all rainbows and fairies on Neopets, and the site is infamous for the many scandals that it's gotten itself into over the years. Today, let me take you on a journey, an exploration of the many strange scandals that our beloved Neopets has gotten itself into over the years. To understand all of Neopets' controversies, we first have to start at the beginning. Neopets was created by Adam Powell and Donna Williams, who conceived the idea in 1997 and launched the site in November of 1999. In the beginning, the goal of the site was to, quote, keep university students entertained and possibly make some cash from banner advertising. The site was fairly simple. Users would look after their own virtual pets, play minigames, and chat to others on the forum. The original site was extremely rough around the edges, littered with pop culture references and half half-baked creature designs, but the ideas were all there. The creature designs were strange yet lovable, the games were simple yet addictive, and a system where Neopets had to be cared for regularly kept players coming back for more. By Christmas of 1999, the site was logging over 600,000 views daily, and the developers were struggling to keep up with the server costs and surge of popularity. Howell and Williams had no idea that the site would blow up so much in just a little under a month, and so they began looking for investors who could help them manage their newly viral site. And this is where we reach controversy number 1. In late December of 1999, Adam and Donna met Doug During, who agreed to invest in Neopets alongside several other investors. They all brought shares in early January of 2000, presumably waiting until after the turn of the century just in case Y2K wiped out the entire Neopets website. You know, it's always good to be on the safe side. During himself founded Neopets Inc. just a month later, turning the once unknown website into a bona fide brand in just a few months. So Neopets was saved, they were able to upgrade their servers and now work full time on the bustling website. The artwork was upgraded and the features were piling up. From battling pets to trading items to investing in the in-game stock market, the site became a place for kids to explore and express themselves. Many have even cited the website as a sort of safe haven for kids in the early 2000s during a time where the internet could be openly unfriendly beyond your small web ring of friends. So Neopets was the hottest new trend, and despite its original demographic of college students and
did any of you guys play Neopets, or did you play like the other virtual pet games?
But it would come out years later that Doug During and his team were Scientologists. Now, for legal reasons, all of this is completely alleged, and this is all in the context
okay, I think this is kind of outing myself as like
form of recounting a series of events that happened
as being pretty well off, but I was Webkins and Build-A-Bear or Bearsville kid.
CEO and primary investor in Neopets, and
also I
Vantage Scientologist. This has become something of an urban legend in modern times, with rumors of brainwashing and subliminal messages being spread around. Some claim that one of the pets, Talk, was actually named after the Scientologist figure Xenu, and in a now deleted article, Kotaku claimed that employees were pressured into joining Scientology. However, none of this was actually true and would be debunked by the creators themselves. Scientology actually made much less of an impact on the site than many people have claimed. In a Reddit AMA from 2015, Donna Williams wrote about the role of Scientology on Neopets in the early years. Quote, "The company was structured like a Scientology org. It didn't really change anything that I noticed, apart from some odd tests that interviewees had to take, consisting of questions like which straight lines seem friendlier and stuff like that. We also had a lot of obscure celebrities coming around the office for tours. At one time there was some talk about putting Scientology education on the site, but we killed that idea pretty sharpish. Adam and I made sure that it never made its way onto anything site related. Religion and politics were two big no-nos for us as far as site content went. Can't say the discussions we had to keep it that way were much fun though. Tom Cruise totally came around the office, didn't he? The reason that the company was, quote, structured like a Scientology org has been attributed to the claim that During was using the org board, a Scientologist business model, to run the company. While Adam and Donna felt that this didn't heavily impact the company, others felt differently about this business model. Patricia Illingworth, a senior fellow at the Kennedy School of Government's Carr Center for Human Rights at Harvard, was quoted in an Outline article calling the business model morally unethical for a variety of reasons. Regardless, aside from a lot of fear-mongering and childhood-ruined posts about Scientology's involvement, the organization itself had little bearing on the website. Due to Adam and Donna's refusal to add politics or religion to the game, it remained largely unchanged in that regard. It turns out that the most interesting thing that Doug During brought to the table wasn't Scientology, but something called immersive advertising. During the early days of the site, Adam and Donna had been making money from pop-up and banner ads, which were commonplace on the internet at the time. However, Doug During was a businessman first and foremost, and putting that business acumen to work, he created something that he called immersive advertising. Instead of advertising brands and products through explicit ads, why not incorporate
I've heard that.
This may not seem that egregious. These days, product placement is pretty common, with everything from movies to TV shows to music videos having those shots that linger just a little bit too long on a pair of Beats headphones or a Coke can. Back in the early 2000s though, for a game like Neopets, this was virtually unheard of. From a 2002 Time magazine article, quote, "At the Neopia food shop, Oreo cookies, Nestle Nestle Sweethearts and Laffy Taffy candy, along with unprocessed foods, have occasionally been available to buy with Neopoints to feed virtual pets. Kids can also win points by watching cereal ads or movie trailers in the Disney theater. The Neopets team were adding branded items and minigames onto the site, covertly advertising to their young user base under the guise of simple gameplay. With banner ads, it's easy to tell that what you're seeing is in fact an advertisement, but children had a much harder time identifying this immersive advertising. Neopets worked with a huge number of brands, including McDonald's, General Mills cereal, Zazzle, Disney, Coca-Cola, Kraft, Heinz, Mattel, Capri Sun, Nickelodeon, and more. To be fair, it was an extremely effective form of advertising that would only gain popularity over the years, but at the time it was very controversial.
Well,
articles and think pieces on
something consequences of his actions.
With many parents critical of Neopets and their associated brands. And it prompted many people to raise the question, how young is too young to start being targeted with advertising? 80% of Neopets players were under 18, with the average age being about 14, but it wasn't uncommon for 7 and 8 year olds to have accounts. Nowadays, though Copper would have you believe otherwise, online content targets young children more than ever, but like I said earlier, this was pretty unheard of at the time. For most kids, this immersive advertising flew under their radar as they plied their Neopets with McDonald's and Coke, but it was so egregious at times that even young kids could feel that something was off. In a Vice article on the topic, one 30-year-old player wrote, quote, "As a 10-year-old, it felt weird and inappropriate to me that I was being so aggressively targeted with advertising. Despite the controversy that During's immersive advertising would bring about, it would go on to become an extremely profitable and popular form of advertising for online games. Titans like Club Penguin and Habbo Hotel would integrate brands into their game, and as the years went on, this style of invasive yet covert advertising would become the norm. So thank you Neopets for pioneering capitalism for children." It turns out that it wasn't just targeted advertising that was raising concerns on Neopets.com. Many parents had begun to worry about the normalization of gambling on the website. Neopets had a whole host of addictive gambling games, from Brucey B Slots to Bilge Dice to Wheel of Excitement, and even had casino games like blackjack and poker. There was also, of course, the Neopian stock market. Portfolio of fictional
what is it? Kian Carlisle's video on like the Club Penguin sponsored parties is so fucking good.
That he purposely messed with the Neopian stock market to bankrupt the in-game companies. Such a fucking troll. Of course, these games were played with Neopoints, a virtual currency. It's not like Neopets was getting all these kids into real debt over Jub Blackjack. But the fact that there were so many games based upon real-life gambling on this kids' site did raise concerns. Some may see this as an overreaction, but the media that kids consume does have an impact on them and kind of shapes their worldview, so gamifying and normalizing gambling, it's a little off. These rising concerns came to a head in 2004 when Neopets partnered with McDonald's to include Neopets plushies with every Happy Meal. Damn, McDonald's toys used to actually be good. These are some sweet pieces of merch. Anyway, every Neopet plushie came with a tag which directed kids to the Neopets website, and when one mother, quote, discovered her 9-year-old playing online poker to feed his virtual pet, she went to the media, because of course she did. She contacted Australian current affairs show Today Tonight, who aired the story Parents Not McHappy Over Pokey Toy. For those outside of Australia and New Zealand, a pokey is another word for a fruit machine / poker machine. I couldn't for the life of me find any videos of this segment from Today Tonight, but a transcript of the broadcast reads, "Among the activities the site offers are virtual pokies, roulette games, and card games where one of the cute characters teaches children the rules of poker and blackjack. As Michelle's son Harley explains, you need to gamble to raise points to feed your virtual Neopets. He says if you don't gamble up enough points to feed your pet, it goes to the orphanage. Players who don't win enough points gambling to buy food actually have to send their Neopets to a virtual soup kitchen. A 9-year-old boy doesn't have the ability to question," Michelle said. "He doesn't even know what a virtual soup kitchen is." Child psychologist Michael Cargreg says that this is a surefire way to turn our kids into gambling addicts. He says children just don't have the critical facilities needed to understand the dangers of adult-style gambling. "As far as I'm concerned, this is sanitizing, normalizing, and glamorizing gambling," Mr. Cargreg said. "I don't necessarily disagree disagree in terms of the ethics of adding gambling to a kids game, but this news article was blatantly wrong. Yes, Neopets did have gambling games, but they were optional, and Neopets never had a system where pets would be taken to an orphanage if they weren't fed. There were plenty of non-gambling games on the site that you could earn Neo points on, and the worst thing that would happen to your pet if you starved it was that they would look a bit sad and you'd feel guilty for the crime of virtual pet neglect. Also, it's called the Pound, not the orphanage. Get it together, Harley. The kid was only 9, so it's possible that he misunderstood the site or didn't know how to properly explain it, or maybe his mother took it out of context, I don't know. Regardless of the fact that all of this information could have been debunked if the producers of Today Tonight had spent 5 minutes on the website, they obviously weren't going to do that, so the story
Yeah, like it's still
the
gambling.
attention of multiple anti-gambling groups and of course flocks of worried parents, eventually resulting in the banning of all gambling games for Australian players.
Yeah.
The based game from blackjack to craps, crops, was disabled for players in Australia due to this little debacle. This was only a temporary ban, as McDonald's had pressured the Neopets team into disabling these games for the duration of the Happy Meal promotion. After all, the games weren't just disabled for kids in Australia, but adults too, meaning that even legal adults who could actually gamble in real life couldn't play virtual coconut shy. The outrage eventually died down when users found out that they could change their country settings to work around this ban, and I believe that it was eventually lifted, but the ban would have a more permanent impact on the site than originally thought. Because of this debacle, Neopets ended up restricting gambling games to kids 13 or over, which many people found pretty ridiculous and arbitrary. Like, a 12-year-old isn't allowed to gamble, but a 13-year-old is. Thankfully for fans of bilge dice, these games were here to stay, even if the 10-year-old gambling addict demographic was cut off. In 2005, Viacom purchased Neopets for $160 million, and shortly after this, original creators Adam Powell and Donna Williams left Neopets Inc. due to creative differences. By this point, Neopets had over 35 million players and was one of the most popular or sticky websites on the internet. Yes, that's the real term. So things were going well for Neopets, and as is typical with small projects that get large and corporate, Viacom decided that they wanted to overhaul the website a bit. See, the original Neopets art was rudimentary, and over the years, many different artists have been brought on board to do various bits and pieces. This resulted in a patchwork of art styles, all of varying quality, making the site look very rough and kind of mashed together, which in my opinion is honestly what gave it a lot of charm. However, like I said, Neopets was going corporate, and so all of the pets were given brand new art. This wasn't just for aesthetic purposes though. The previous artwork was basically just a flat PNG, while the new artwork was layered and would allow for the pets to be dressed up and accessorized. So most pets on the site were given new artwork and were called converted pets because they were converted from the old art style into the new art style. However, some pets were allowed to remain in the old art style and were called unconverted pets. The thing that determined whether pets would be converted or left unconverted was their color. For the uninformed, before you could dress pets up using clothes, the main way to customize them was by recoloring them using an item called the paintbrush. Paintbrushes came in basic colors, which would simply change the color of the pet, but also came in more uncommon colors which were themed and would change the pet's entire pose and base. Most basic colors were converted, but a select few remained unconverted. For example, Plushy, Fairy, Grey, Darrigan, Royal, Sponge, and Maraquin were a few colors that remained unconverted. Unconverted pets, or UCs for short, were able to be converted if the user wanted to dress them up, but once converted they could not go back to being unconverted. This made UCs very, very rare and highly valued, both because the old artwork was way more charming and expressive, and also because as soon as you make something rare it becomes 10 times as appealing and suddenly everyone wants it. Especially on a kid's site where as a 10-year-old having a UC was the only crumb of clout you could get. When the art overhaul first happened, a lot of kids ended up converting their UCs because they wanted to try out the dress up feature, not knowing that they were slimming the numbers even further. So it all sounds simple enough, right? The website gets new art, some pets get to keep their old art, and because of this they become rare and sought after, and the economy gets a boost. Well, it wouldn't stay simple for long, because it turns out that UCs would cause problem after problem for Neopets and its community. The Neopets economy was extremely volatile. It was essentially run by the players, so there are countless stories of sudden market crashes, players manipulating and gaming the system, and the economy just straight up being broken. Naturally, UCs increased the volatility tenfold, creating an economy infested with hackers, scammers, and
God!
Let's get into it.
It seems like you have experience with that, Imani. I mean, Monty Main.
Layman's terms and make it as understandable as possible. So, according to the Neopets terms of service, you're not supposed to trade pets for Neopoints, items, or real currency. You are only meant to trade pets with other pets, but rules were made to be broken, and since the dawn of the site, an underground black market of Neopets has existed. After the 2007 art change, however, this black market would become far more prominent because of UCs. For the average user, it was impossible to trade for a UC with a normal converted pet, unless that pet was well named. The Neopets naming system is kind of odd, as it requires every pet in the game to have a unique name. For example, there can't be 2 pets named Timmy in the game, only 1, and since there's over 285 million pets, names became pretty scarce. Most pets had names like XXX Sakura _ anime _ flower XXX123, or as 458978510. If you had a pet with a simple 1 or 2 word name that was capitalized and spelt correctly, that was a very highly valued pet. So essentially, unless you were one of the very slim few who got into Neopets early enough to snag a
I shouldn't laugh, but also
you wouldn't be able to trade for a UC. That is, unless you have a little bit of cash on the side and are willing to go against terms of service to do an illicit deal. UCs were going for hundreds of dollars on these black market sites, with rumors that some especially rare or well-named UCs were going for thousands. And while this was a reliable method to obtain UCs, a lot of players didn't want to go against terms of service, so they had to turn to other methods. So, fun fact, a lot of UCs on the website today are the product of hacking. In 2013 and 2016 respectively, there were 2 huge database breaches which leaked the usernames, emails, and passwords of thousands of accounts. Fun fact too, if you had a Neopets account, there's a good chance that your information is floating around out there somewhere, so let that lull you to sleep tonight. Anyway, Neopets users would take these leaks and categorically log into all of the accounts, rating them for good items, with UCs being the most prized loot. There was, however, one more method to obtain a UC. Basically the only legitimate method, but it was painfully slow, incredibly unreliable, and exhaustively boring. In Neopets, there's a place called the Pound where you had the option to adopt any pets you don't want anymore, and you can also adopt pets from the Pound. Neopets code
I didn't know this.
The Pound is very broken. Certain pets' names would scramble the code and they would become stuck, meaning that they weren't visible in the Pound, like they were in there but you couldn't see them. The only way to see them was by typing their name.
Okay, it's hidden, it's hidden.
Like Homer Simpson 827985 and Ebony Darkness Dementia Ravenway 16, this wasn't really a viable method. So there were thousands upon thousands of hidden pets, and there was a good chance that there were some rare UCs in there. Some users made bots to manually search the Pound for stuck UCs, but they were usually banned due to the site's bot detection. So this is where our incredibly unreliable, painfully slow, and exhaustively boring method comes into play. Using an Excel spreadsheet, users could generate hundreds of URLs which could be viewed in an HTML file. This was essentially what the bots did, but manually, and therefore much slower and more tedious. Since this file showed each pet using its image, players could quickly look through the page and easily identify the unconverted pets by the image. So many a user spent long nights painstakingly searching for pets using this method, and the returns were ridiculously low. Despite some users spending weeks on end trawling through hundreds of sheets, supposedly only about 10 UCs were found because, let's be real here, it was very much a needle in a haystack situation. But the discovery of the spreadsheet method was a big revelation, and the first time many users felt that a UC was within their grasp, so they dedicated hours upon hours to this tedious task. Little did they know they wouldn't have to search for much longer. On Friday the 22nd of November 2019, a post appeared on the Neo boards in the Pound chat. It was a list of over 700 unconverted Neopets stuck in the Pound. You don't understand, people had collectively been searching for hundreds of hours using this method and had turned up maybe a handful. 700 UCs were just posted. It was carnage. This occurred during the early hours of the morning, around 6 AM PST, so not too many people were on the boards. And yet, at one of Neopets' emptiest hours, the Pound chat became a flurry of frantic activity, with users scrambling to claim these UCs. Most users rushed to claim the UCs with the highest value, but upon finding that they had already been claimed, they scrambled to take whatever was left. The original poster, dubbed UC Santa for their generous spirit, was banned for inappropriate language later that same day after cussing out greedy players, but not before making one last post. I've actually seen conflicting reports about whether UC Santa posted this on the same day or whether they posted it a few weeks later in early December, but this screenshot seems to indicate that it was posted on the same day, so we'll go with that. 28th December 2019. 5 p.m. EST, and then they
Yeah,
were
I
gone,
bet they're
disappearing
not
just as
worth
abruptly
this
as they had
effort.
come. Users were both bewildered and excited over this prophetic post. A few days later, on the 27th of November, UC Santa supposedly re-emerged, claiming that they would pick 5 random users to send a UC pet. Users made a list and added their name alongside the pets they wanted, and after only 30 minutes, this list had over 200 users on it. UC Santa then selected these lucky few, sent them their UCs, and was promptly banned. Obviously, by this point the community was in shambles, and news had spread far and wide about UC Santa and their prophetic post. The Neo boards were the busiest they had ever been, with thread after thread of bewilderment, shock, and speculation. Some users were ecstatic and bragged about how many UCs they had picked up, with some greedy little fellas claiming upwards of 10 UCs from the list. Others, who had come out of UC Gate empty-handed, planned their tactics for the next drop, coming at 8 p.m. on the 28th of December. In the month between UC Santa's drops, the community became progressively more tense and aggressive. While some groups memed about it, other corners of the board broke out into fights and arguments. The boards had been pretty empty when the original list was posted, but by the evening of the 28th, players across the globe were tuning in, even those who hadn't played in years logged back on for this exciting event. People were live posting, waiting in Discord calls, the entire forum was busier than it had been in years, and everyone was waiting with bated breath. At 5:45 p.m, a few hours before UC Santa was set to arrive, a strange post appeared on the Pound Chat posted by a user called Joanna Barker. "Hi, your master is here." Users have speculated over whether this was the original UC Santa or an imitator. They did end up dropping a few UC pets to prove that it was them, but people doubt their legitimacy, and you'll soon understand why. Joanna Barker told the Pound Chat that they would update their pet page with a new list at 6 p.m, only 15 minutes away and 2 full hours before they said that the list would be posted. This, of course, sent the community into a panic. Users had spent weeks planning for this, and suddenly the new drop was being sprung on them in a matter of minutes. From Tumblr user Marolo's post on the debacle, quote, "The board is moving more quickly than I have ever seen a Neo board move. There was a new message practically every single time I refreshed, like once per second. People were going fucking wild." The anon posted how many page views the pet page had, and it got up to about 18k. For Neo pets in 2019, which had long been considered dead/dying, 18,000 views was pretty insane. Everyone was waiting with bated breath for the UC drop, refreshing the page over and over. And then, on the 28th of December 2019, a day which has come to be known as Savage Saturday, UC Santa's page updated. Mwahahaha. Psych, you bunch of beggars. If you want your dream UC, just buy it with USD. And below was a list of cheap websites that sold UCs for real currency. Yep. It was all a troll. Naturally, the boards devolved into pure madness, with the boards moving at 100 miles a minute. The fallout was immense. Users were very, very angry and very, very upset, and you just can't imagine the chaos that ensued in those following hours. 6:02, 2 minutes after the update. Thanks, I'm in the bathroom having explosive you-know-what now. Thanks. According to Tumblr user You Are Sacred, quote, "Also, the filters just went down. The most active post on the PC right now contains the words suck dick and eat butt. By the 15-minute mark, the board had so many posts that it had reached capacity, and another board had to be made. Posts were still flooding through at high speed, but a few users got to ask UC Santa/Joanna Barker some questions. They revealed that they supposedly worked for one of these black market Neopet sites, bankofneopia.com. Their reasoning for the bait and switch was flimsy at best. Guys, this is marketing. Give some free, and those who got nothing have an excuse to go buy some and pass them off as legit. Needless to say, it didn't really work. This was about as much useful information as users got before Joanna Barker's post began devolving. They would soon disappear forever, leaving as abruptly as they had come, but not before gracing the boards with one final post. Big brain, small peepee. Or none at all. Stonks. Never change, Joanna Barker. Never change. So let's talk theories. Naturally, after all this had gone down and Joanna Barker left, the boards and the subreddit filled up with questions, bewilderment, and speculation. Some proposed that the original UC Santa was a different person than Joanna Barker. Original UC Santa had been generous with their gifting, while Joanna Barker was clearly just a grifter. Plus, UC Santa had been banned multiple times and had been bouncing from shell account to shell account, so they didn't really go by just one username. The theory was that the original UC Santa leaked the 700 names out of generosity, or to see the pound chat go crazy I guess, and then disappeared. Joanna Barker, who worked at the cheat site bank of Neopia.com, saw how crazy the community got and saw an advertising opportunity. They swooped in, pretending to be UC Santa, and used all of the hype to advertise their website just like they explained. The validity of this theory really hinges on when UC Santa's prophetic post was made. One write-up I read said that the post was made weeks after the original drop using the Joanna Barker username, while this screenshot seems to show that it was made on the day, a few hours after the original drop. If it was made on the same day by the original UC Santa poster, they are likely just one person, and the fact that in their December post they were able to drop multiple UCs lends credibility to this. If it was made weeks later under a different username, it's far more likely that they were just an imitator. Some believe that after the original drop, owners of these cheat sites had somehow reached out to Joanna Barker and paid them to kind of build up hype and advertise their websites. Others believe that UC Santa became jaded after seeing how greedy and selfish Neopets users could be after the original drop. Throughout the ordeal, UC Santa had to repeatedly ask users to stop begging and fighting to no avail, and the reason that they were originally banned was because they went off on users who took too many UCs from the list. The greediness that they witnessed really seemed to set them off, so maybe it opened their eyes to the harsh reality of the world and made them go Joker mode. Neopets users still have no idea who UC Santa or Joanna Barker was or what their motives were, but Savage Saturday would go down in Neopets history as the day that one troll baited the entire community and left it in utter chaos. So UCs were clearly in high demand. I mean, I just told you a story about how these unconverted pets caused the entire community to have a meltdown. Well, because of how badly everyone wanted a UC, players were constantly begging the Neopets team to allow players to unconvert their pets. After all, it had been pretty unfair. If the team had converted every single pet, yes, some people would be annoyed, but it would be fair to everyone. Instead, they had this weird system where only randomly chosen specific colors were preserved for unknown reasons, and everyone else had their pets converted with no notice. Many players liked the old designs better, I don't blame them, and they were angry that they weren't given the option to unconvert their pets or make new UCs. Time and time again, staff told the player base that this was impossible within the game's code. They weren't making any new UCs because it simply couldn't be done. But they were lying. Back in around November of 2020, one of the Neopet staff members was found to have an unconverted Darrigan Bruce called Jungle Boo. The problem? Jungle Boo was 2,630 days old, meaning that it was born in 2013, around 6 years after the conversion. The Neopets team said that they could not and would not make any new UCs, and yet here Jungle Boo was, a UC born years after the conversion. The community flipped their shit on the boards when they noticed this. Most players had become vitriolic with Neopets over the years for a variety of reasons, and to them this was another example of their lies and poor conduct. And while the boards were going crazy, Jungle Boo was doing a Benjamin Button on their ass because suddenly his age went from 2,630 days old to 7,625 days old. This meant that Jungle Boo was now born on the literal day Neopets launched. It was clear that the Neopets team was scrambling to save face. Jungle Boo's very existence proved that they had been lying about making new UC pets, and they knew that left unchecked he could spark the very end of Neopets as we know it. Okay, maybe not that far, but it made them look bad. Once again the boards were going crazy, and once again Jungle Boo's age changed, this time to minus 15,653 hours, meaning that he was now unborn and would be born in the year 2038. Tumblr user DamnSkippyGF explained this phenomenon, quote, "Turns out that this is the maximum time the Neopets computer clock can count to, sometime around January 19th, 2038. So like something about this Neopet got corrupted so that this Neopet will only be born at the last second before the Neopet's time counter collapses." Jungle Boo was also converted, which is basically a sin within the community considering how rare UCs are and how much they're worth. Converting one is basically increasing the rarity even more, so it pisses people off. It's fair to say that poor Jungle Boo had been corrupted and broken beyond repair, all in the name of saving face and avoiding backlash for lying about new UCs. But this was just the tip of the iceberg, as Neopets was about to face a chain of events that would break the economy entirely. So when you think about it, the whole black market is basically entirely the fault of the Neopets team. Most sites might have a few hacked accounts here and there, but Neopets had not one but two huge data breaches that compromised thousands of accounts. Because of the site's poor security, people were able to go online and find lists of thousands of usernames and passwords, turning Neopets into a haven for account theft like it was rampant. By 2020, most of the UCs in circulation were obtained through account hacking and then either kept on the hacker's account or sold on the black market. Basically, what I'm trying to say is there were a lot of illegitimate UCs circulating throughout the economy, and the Neopets team, despite causing it themselves, did not like this one bit. In 2020, they began cracking down on illegal UCs, and users' accounts would be frozen or iced if they were found to have hacked pets. Seems fair enough, you break the terms of service, you lose your account, that's generally how websites work, but the thing was, most players who owned illegal UCs didn't know they were illegal. Like I said, illegal UCs had been circulating throughout the economy, being traded from hacker to player to 10 more players after that. Due to their rarity, UCs were very hard to trade for. You'd have to trade pets for months on end in what is called a trading chain in order to obtain one. A trading chain, in simple terms, is where you take a pet, trade it for a slightly higher value pet, and repeat for months on end until you get a pet that's valuable enough to trade for a UC. It's a very slow and frustrating process, and users may have to trade tens of times to finally get a UC. If the Neopets team found out that a pet was illegal, or a user found out that their old account had UCs hacked off it and sent in a ticket, the Neopets team would return their pet to them. To do this, they would reverse the entire trading chain, meaning that throughout the community, hundreds of traded pets were being taken off people's accounts and returned to their old owners. And this was best case scenario. There are plenty of posts out there by people who had their accounts iced for unknowingly being a part of illegal trading chains, losing their entire account with no way to appeal it. Years of work and years of memories and nostalgia all gone. Obviously, this sent the community into a panic, with Neopians across the boards worrying about their accounts getting iced or their pets getting taken off them. Most of these folks thought that they had legitimately traded for their pets and were rightfully upset when they realized that A, they were illegal, and B, months of painstaking trading had gone to waste when their UC was taken off them. To quell the rising anger within the community, the Neopets team made an unprecedented decision. They decided to selectively start making new UC pets. Neopets users had long been suspicious that the team had the ability to make UCs but chose not to. The Jungle Boo situation had hinted at this, but now the Neopets team had completely confirmed it. Players who had been left in the lurch without a UC after the trade chains had been reversed were contacted by the Neopets team and given the option to pick any Neopet they wanted out of the pound and have it unconverted. It was the first time that Neopets had ever openly unconverted pets, and the first time that the UC population had ever increased instead of decreased. Some were angry. After all, it revealed that Neopets had really been lying about being able to unconvert pets the entire time, and some felt that it was very unfair, while others, especially those receiving the UCs, were just relieved that they'd be getting their pets back. After all, they didn't ask to be involved in the black market, they just kind of accidentally stumbled into it. So happy ending, the original owners get their pets back after being hacked, the people who traded for their pets also get their UCs, the population of UCs is increased, the Neoverse is healing, everything is tied up in a neat little bow. Sure, a few gabagools got iced along the way, but all in all, it seems like Neopets was finally fixing the mess they had made and putting an end to the black market once and for all. But buckle up, bucko, because the Neopets economy and the staff's reputation were about to take the worst hit in Neopets history when it was revealed that hackers had obtained a tool that could unconvert any pet on the website. It was the biggest black market scandal in Neopets history, even bigger than Savage Saturday, even bigger than Jungle Boo, even bigger than the 2020 crackdowns, and was an event that would break the site entirely. March 2021. Yes, this happened this year. Neopets drama is still very much alive and well. It's around 8 PM on the Pound chat when someone makes a post claiming they can unconvert pets and make new UCs, something which, as we know, is supposedly impossible. They claim that they have access to a link which allows players to access the site's administrator tools, including the ability to unconvert pets. And keep in mind that at this point, the only way to obtain UCs was to trade or hack into someone's old unused account. The user claimed to be able to hack brand new UCs, just like Jungle Boo, but on a mass scale. These kinds of bait posts aren't uncommon in Pound chat. Plenty of people make wild claims about hacks and exploits and cheats, but don't have any real proof for it. But this was different. they could prove it. The user had a 3-day-old Tyranian Quiggle UC on their account, and not only that, but they posted a list of over 3,000 UCs which had been illegally hacked using this method. I just told you about how players were getting iced for unknowingly being a part of these chains, so people were naturally freaking out. Turns out that these hackers had been using this link for quite a while before it was made public. Users frantically asked if any of their pets were on the list, fearful that they would lose their UCs or worse, their entire account. The original poster was quickly iced and their Quiggle was converted, but the damage was done, and once again the site broke out into chaos. Meanwhile, over on r/Neopets, the OP made a post explaining their reasoning. They claimed that they didn't want to cause trouble but had leaked the link as a way to force Jumpstart, the company running Neopets at the time, to fix the exploit by making it public. The OP spoke to Polygon in an article on the situation, quote, "I just wanted to
God.
that 1. This was a real backdoor in the website. 2. This website is not secure. 3. The Neopets team has no clue how to fix anything." The Neopets team, on the other hand, completely denied that the OP had legitimate access to administrator tools and instead accused them of using third-party hacking software. It makes sense that Neopets would deny this. If it was true that their code was so shoddy that multiple users were able to access the game's admin tools, it could spell disaster for their already poor reputation. Those multiple data breaches from years back add a lot of credibility to the theory that, yeah, Neopets was just run on such ramshackle spaghetti code that the users were able to hack into the game and give themselves admin permissions. On the other hand, OP could have just been a hacker who was using a bot or other software to unconvert pets. Either way, with Jungle Boo, the team unconverting pets, and now players hacking and unconverting pets themselves, the UC economy was falling apart in real time. Everything was coming to a head, the Neoverse was in shambles, and it felt like everything was falling apart. I mean, at least for the Pound Chat players, all the other players are probably just chilling and playing Hot Dog Hero. And then a post went up. Hey Neopians, as we're sure some of you are aware, a site issue has surfaced involving unconverted pets. Our team is aware of the situation and are actively finding solutions for it. As a reminder, there are no official channels for the creation of new unconverted pets. Any pets directly tied to this recent issue that have been illegally unconverted will be returned to their original states once the issue has been resolved. Additionally, any user found to be tampering with pet conversion in their own or other users' accounts will be banned and frozen. We've implemented a fix for the issue and will be continuing to patch and monitor the situation over the next few days. We appreciate your patience as we get everything sorted out. We're also aware of the high demand for unconverted pets and have been looking into solutions to properly implementing them back into the game while keeping things fair for the existing community. We'll circle back with more news later this year. TNT. That's right, the Neopets team were finally acknowledging the demand for UCs, and for the first time in 20 years they said they were considering bringing them back. They had pretended for years that this was impossible, no new UCs ever. But after they came to realize how extensive and far-reaching the black market was and how close hackers were to completely wrecking
why
the economy
even
by flooding it with hacked UCs, they had to
add
give in.
UCs
Some
in the
laughed,
first place?
some cried, some rage quit. Most UC owners rushed to the Pound Chat to try and trade their UCs for pets with valuable names instead, fearing that UCs would plummet in value. Because, as Tumblr user Switch wrote, Pound Chat never changes. That about sums up the entire unconverted pet saga. Who knew that just a simple art style change would cause years of economical strife within the community? It's bizarre how far players are willing to go just to get a Neopet with slightly different art than the others, and it's clear that a lot of these veteran UC collectors were entrenched in the world and the economy of Neopets to the point where it was very real to them. One player wrote in a Polygon article, quote, "We've put years of our lives and a lot of serious dedication and effort into working our way up this weird ladder that doesn't really exist." The Neopets team later admitted that choosing to keep some pets unconverted was a contentious decision within the company that they predicted would cause problems, and they were right. Many users have echoed the sentiment that they should have just bit the bullet and converted all pets. Sure, some people would have been annoyed, but it would have saved them from years of black market scandals that lowered the reputation of the site and gradually turned the Neopets community against its creators. The general vibe these days is one of antagonism.
Why is it
towards
showing
the
my
Neopets team.
Firefox?
Users have had to put up with years of lies, cover-ups, unfair suspensions, lack of communication, poor website design, unsafe security, and bad business decisions. Who knows whether the Neopets team will be able to mend this relationship and fix the UC economy, or whether it's a lost cause.
No zooming, no zooming, no zooming. Okay, I have to get water.
Okay, I promise we're done
I'll be
with
right back.
unconverted pets. There was a lot of drama. Neopets economy is a wild place. So let's jump back in time a bit, back to 2014. As we discussed at the start of this video, ownership of Neopets Inc. went from Doug During in 2000 to Viacom in 2005 and was eventually sold to Jumpstart Games in 2014. After the changeover, the site almost immediately broke down, characterized by horrendous site lag, bugs and glitches. Many players felt that Jumpstart was letting the site fall into disrepair, and the general feeling was that they didn't seem to really get Neopets. This lack of site upkeep came to a head in June 2015 on Sunday the 28th. Sunday, the Lord's Day, a day of reverent prayer and holy worship, a day which has come to be known as the Day of Sin, the Neopocalypse. If you need any indication of the insanity that we're about to discuss, Kotaku wrote an article on the topic titled Neopets Community Melts Down. Eat my hoe butt. So, you know, we're in for a ride. So Neopets is a game for kids. Obviously adults play it, but it's always been marketed as a family-friendly game that's safe for kids. Because of this, Neopets has very restrictive filters in place on the forum boards. No hell, no damn, no shit, no ass, and no Avril Lavigne. Okay. Basically, there's no swearing on Neopets, and the team has even been under fire for blocking out words related to the LGBTQ community, such as gay, bi, lesbian, etc. Their reasoning was because gender identity and sexuality was on a list of hot topics alongside politics and religion that they didn't want to allow on the site, so yikes. They recently changed this so now your quiggles can be as gay as they want, but back to my original point. Neopets chat was always heavily restricted by the built-in filter system as well as the moderators. Users did occasionally swear, but they would usually be reprimanded or even iced for doing so. However, everything changed on the weekend of the 27th to the 28th. The filters went down. The mods didn't seem to be active, or maybe there just weren't enough working that weekend. No filters, no mods. I'm about to get so fucking trashed.
Satan.
Neo goal to have sex confused everyone. Anti sexism, drug board. Big y'all need Jesus. How do I make crystal meth? That night, Neopets went offline. Users were left to ponder the events of that day. Many would be iced in the following days. But it had all been worth it, and Neopians from all corners of the internet came together to share their favourite moments of chaos. Discourse was started about how it was inappropriate to post such crass things on a website for children, and during the Neopocalypse, many parents echoed this sentiment. Eventually, the Neopets team fixed the filters, took down all the offending posts, and changed those poor Neopets names back. Rest in peace, tampon slut. Rumours flew around that the Neopocalypse was caused by Jumpstart firing all their employees before the weekend, but this wasn't true. They issued a statement when the site went back up explaining what had happened. At some point over the weekend, as a result of a facility move, the Neopets moderation and filter system went offline. During this period, our moderation team was not able to access and appropriately manage the Neopets community and inappropriate comments that were being made. Jumpstart has since taken down the boards and other areas affected as we work to get the moderation teams and filters functioning properly. This was an unfortunate incident due to the facility move related to our servers and not the result of any changes to our moderation teams, and we apologize to the users that were affected. We will keep all users updated during the day. This was not a staffing issue but a technology issue related to the move in facilities and our servers that control our moderation. Rest assured that we are taking this seriously and putting fail-safe solutions in for the future. Quick update, we have, since writing this, reconnected all servers associated with moderation/filtering on Neopets. So it seems that a facility move shuffled some networks around and disconnected Neopets' filtering system. Some saw this as indicative of Jumpstart's lack of care or interest in maintaining the site, while others saw it as just a simple mistake. Neopets gradually got better with time, with the lag and glitches being fixed, and Jumpstart adding new events and storylines for players to enjoy. Still, the Neopocalypse has gone down in history as the day that the kid-friendly and sanitized denizens of Neopets showed their true colors. Neopets has had a long and tumultuous history, from shady advertising to black markets to bad business practices. It's fair to say that the relationship between the Neopets team and the players has always been pretty rocky. But regardless of this, Neopets players keep coming back. A lot of them are completely immersed in this world, having invested hundreds of hours to work their way up the Neopian ladder. I can't blame them. The site was like a second home for a lot of kids on the early internet, and many of these die-hard players are so attached to the site because of this nostalgia. I don't want anyone coming running away from this video thinking that Neopets sucks or is bad or anything. Despite all the scandals, the Neopets community has remained as funny, creative, and smart as ever. Despite the death of Flash and the site's slow decline in popularity, the die-hard fans are still there, ready to follow Neopets wherever it goes. I'm pretty sure the site is turning into an app now, and while it'll be nice for everything to be updated and modernized, many feel that Neopets will inevitably lose its charm. No matter how many times the site changed hands over the years and how much money it was generating, it was clear that the site was a labor of love by many programmers, artists, designers, and fans. It's a shame that all of this might be ironed out in the new version, but hey, it's been 20 years, it's had a pretty damn good run. And hopefully, if they know what's good for them, they'll find a way to avoid
I've never played Frame Realms before. How was it like?
It'll be Neopocalypse 2.0. Either way, it's fine with me. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. I really hope that you enjoyed that topic. If you ever have any suggestions for things
also, I finished
let me know in the comments below.
writing down that mod list.
See you in the next one. Bye. A massive thank you to my Garfield overlords on Patreon: Charlie B, Simon, Sir Jalen III, Don Lee, Nancy Robin, Tom, Agarafin, Xavier Araujo, Vampiric Misfit, Icarus, Ryan W,
So I
Charles
can...
Davey, Finley, American Guilt, Helm Hamburger
Okay,
Man,
my
Rosie
camera
Sir
wasn't
Owen,
registering me
Jacob
for a
Blint,
moment.
Sarah Whiskey, The Furby Librarian, Princess Bossy Boots, Red Meth, Astrian Vortex, Jesse Chisholm, Furbycon, Sophie Skidder, X17chan, Kendall Pachalik, Grip Gunderson, Tyson, Fan, Gyro Bredito, Joe Bradshaw, Aaron, and Arcantilus. Thank you guys so much for the support, it means the world to me, and if you want to join these guys on Patreon, the link will be in the description. Once again, thank you for the support, love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!
Okay, just... Is there anything I need to get? Okay, yeah. Okay, let me just add this to my wrong folder. Okay. I'm gonna put on Stardew Valley in just a moment. I want to get more... Wait, I forgot. I wanted to switch something. Sorry. Okay. Time for start doing on our valleys. Okay. Does it look good? I'm so sorry, oomph. Stop sleeping! Stop sleeping, VTuber. Okay, let me. Yeah. Stop. Alright. Thank you. Okay, I'm trying out a different body mod right now. No, these shoes don't work here. Ah! God. Okay, I have to go back. I have to exit the game. I'm gonna switch back to the other body. Okay, let's get back to the game. What is that emote? Also, have you noticed a new person in the overlay? Hello, Melendon. How are you? We're back to playing modded Stardew. For the first couple of hours, I did make my mods watch uh, a Dingo Pictures movie, and then a bunch of izzzyzzz videos. My VTuber is sleeping again. Oh my god. Stop. Okay. Alright. Oh my goodness. Okay. What do you mean I made over 1,000 already? I did not. Alright, also Phenomenal is right next to me because she is my chud girlfriend. True. Okay, have mouse. Oh my god, do I have... Okay, I have a cauliflower. Oh, thank god. What happened to my energy? Wait, let me... Okay, let's go to the traveling merchant first. Oh my god, I don't have the proper shoes. But that's okay. Do I... I do need a pumpkin for the... I can't buy the pumpkin bow. So wait, let me... Yeah, I'm too broke, I fear. Okay, let's... No. Also, like at fishing level 2, so I don't. I decided I'm not fishing anymore. Okay. I think we could afford a pumpkin, but like now, but I don't want to do that. Okay. I think I wanted to continue fishing, which is why but I mean, I have my watering can, but what am I gonna use that for? Let's just. Oh wait, let me. I keep getting distracted, sorry. It's not really exciting gameplay, is it? Okay, I'm gonna have to go to the mines. Yes. Why am I... My fake... Why does this VTuber keep on sleeping? No! Yup. Wait for Clint's. I can't use any of the copper ore I pre-collected. Come on, man. Where's the copper? Like, Stardew Valley is so generous. Okay, I have to fucking leave. Yeah, you guys are just yapping, not spammers. And don't, oh my god, my VTuber, don't feel like you're spamming. Okay. And we're making it back home just in time too. Oh, that's the dog. Uh, back to the mines to find more copper. Okay, I have enough copper to go to Clint. Let us haul ass. Harvey, right? Okay. Okay, Caroline is outside of her room. Okay. We're getting closer to Carolina Two Hearts. Okay, let's get back home. Okay. So, which of my, wait, let's put that sword away. which of my tools should I upgrade first? Because I have 10 copper bars already. Should it be the pickaxe, the axe, the watering can, or the hoe? First off, I have to check on the... Alright, I need iron bar. No, I think I'm probably going to, like... What is it? Do mining and fishing until summer one drops. But okay. Oh my god, please let me make it to quit. Ah, damn it. Didn't make it. Oh well. Okay, I'm going to go over this farm and just spend the rest of the day cutting down wood. Why the fuck not? Also, have any of you guys tried Olipop? The soda? Which flavor did you try? I see. And how was it, in your opinion? Oh, that doesn't sound good at all. Okay, yeah, earlier, today I tried an Olipop. I was at, like, a running convention because my mom goes there whenever she is going to do a marathon. And I decided to go with her. And they had an Olipop stand and they were handing out free sodas. So I grabbed one. And I grabbed the grape soda. And I'll preface this that the only sodas I've ever liked were Sprite, orange sodas, and ginger ale. I genuinely do not like other sodas. Nor would I want to try other sodas most of the time. I say this because I fucking hated the grape Olipop so fucking much. And at first I thought I was going to like be okay with it because it tasted a bit like grape candy and stuff, and then like it just stopped tasting like it and it tasted so fucking horrible. And my mom and her friend like grabbed, I think it was the cream flavored, and they hated it as well. And mom also tried to pawn it off to me, and like, okay, this is, I'm gonna sound so fucking corny, and it's just that it's my only frame of reference for this because I've never actually had any cream soda. It tasted like the butterbeer in Universal Studios, and that's probably what butterbeer is based off of. But again, I never tried actual cream soda. I see. Okay, another traveling traveling merchant has arrived today. Okay, I think I might regret this, but I'm gonna get the catfish for the community center. True, I will blame it on the person we shall now not name. True. Yeah. Okay, that's not the right. The construction bundle's right here. Hmm. Okay, so far, how does my audio sound? No! Damn it! Okay, thank you. Then I don't know why it's so weird in Discord calls. Oh well. Catfish are riverfish in Stardew Valley, right? Okay, yeah. Let's try a different spot. Bro, I just want a catfish. Please, no more sunfish. Wait, let me. Wait. I'm fishing at the wrong time. It's at the early morning. Hello? Come on. Come on. It has to be raining. Okay. I don't know why I'm like trying to fish for things and I don't even check when it's supposed to be fished. But oh well. I don't even have enough money to upgrade my tools. Great thinking there, Santi. Okay, let's continue looking. Okay, 3 of them. Okay, please, just 2 more cutthroat trouts. I'm begging you. Oh, thank God. No! Okay. Now to sell these fish. I'm still there. I don't know why my VTuber keeps on falling asleep. I think so. Or if it doesn't detect my face. Yeah. I think I should probably go to sleep now, though. It is getting super cold. Yeah, I am being cold, I fear. Alrighty, thank you guys for joining the stream. It was fun as always. Good night. Bye.